Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to this session. This University of Ottawa and MTU Art in Silico virtual art panel is designed to showcase ideas and processes behind certain computational art projects that were submitted by students from MTU and University of Ottawa to our Art in Silico conference. And these diverse projects are expressions of the possibilities that arise at the convergence of art and technology. You don't need to be a trained artist to make art. We'll go through some student submissions and then allow the panelists to discuss their work. And then we'll have a short Q&A session afterwards, and where we invite audience members and perhaps the participants themselves to ask questions and discuss their thoughts. We welcome Chantal Rodier, who's the professor, who's the projects coordinator and an artist in residence at University of Ottawa. And Ryan Stec, who is an artist and designer, a part-time professor at University of Ottawa, and who is the artistic director of Art Engine. Ryan, will you please take it away?
Sure. Thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah, I wear a few hats, and I've spent a number of decades now working at the intersection of art and technology, back through the 90s, and always both working in a practice, but then also working at a place like Art Engine, and then now the last about 7 or 8 years at the school, working with students, trying to help people realize their projects, and working in this domain always means a significant combination of sort of, let's say, oh, I just noticed that we're backwards. The text is backwards. Is that backwards for you guys?
No, it's normal here. Thank you.
Okay. It's mirroring it for us, so all of the text on the screen is now backwards, making it hard for us to read our own notes.
Oh, no.
Let's call it the curve that technology throws you. I'll talk in the context of our department. This is let's say, a rather exceptional studio. Our department is in the University of Ottawa is a small visual arts department. Mainly, the main part of our program is an undergrad program, and it's very, very heavily invested in materials and painting. Very long traditions of making work, but we do have a stream of technology-based studios, and those studios are very flexible and open. So this studio was a sort of single edition of the studio. I think it's loosely called Image Media Studio or something like that. But given the year that we've had or the last few years, particularly around AI, I thought it was a good moment for the students to sort of create a sort of place where they could play and explore the tools and kind of dispel some of the myths, and then find some of the beauty in this. So the studio we basically set out a series of exercises at the outset of the studio in which we looked at voice generation, image generation, video generation, and text generation. So the generative systems, they just had 1 week where they sort of explored these different aspects of the systems. They kind of started to play and put those things together. And then they had a big project that they worked on for half the studio. What you're seeing play beside me, I think is an interesting example of one of the projects, different than the ones that you're going to be hearing from in the next few minutes. But as one of the artists in the studio was trying to make a film using the image, particularly the runway platform, they were trying to, or maybe it was another platform. Anyways, video generation, text-to-video generation about gay pirates. And the interesting aspects of what they tried to, and how they faced the limitations of the system. Basically, they could not get 2 men to kiss. No matter what they tried to do to try to show this affection, so this is one example of an output. You can see here 2 men with lips touching, one with red hair, the other with black hair, in the background, gray sky. So these kinds of basically trying all these different ways in which to trick the system into representing queer people in some ways. So theirs, in some ways, that was a great example of a project that came to fruition. In the end, it actually, they tried to find the opportunity to see it as an impossible love, basically, which made, they're trying to work around the limitations of the system, and I think that's what a lot of the studio was about. Engaging the system, finding its beauty, but also finding its limitations. So it's both critique and exploration. I think that's a key part of the artist's way of exploring and understanding technology is there's abstract, there's ideas, but making things that have meaning and that have complexity and that have contradictions. This is a very kind of particular kind of making, and it explores and represents or engages the systems, I think, in a very particular way. So I'll leave it there about the whole of the studio. I think that we start with Chris and work our way through the projects. So I'm going to go back over to my operator station and try to run everything from over here. Okay. Let's see if we can do the camera work here. There we go. Look at that. Oh, wrong way. Backwards. Everything's backwards. Okay. There you go.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So thank you guys for having me. My name is Chris Glabb, and I'll be presenting to you guys a project that I worked on last semester. It is untitled, but I called it loosely non-collages. These are DALL-E generated images that you'll see. I really developed them as large-scale projections. And basically, the way I made them was I started with one image generation and input that back into DALL-E as a personal image and used the tool that they have developed to expand on personal images using AI, and basically tried to force the AI to create this very large image, which is just one image but looks a lot like a collage. I focused largely on themes of kind of otherness and homoeroticism, but also things like just trivial things like fashion and video game culture and Americana. And I chose DALL-E because I feel like it was the platform that allowed me to input the most of my own aesthetic into it. Unlike Midjourney and these other platforms that kind of have a set aesthetic, DALL-E allowed me to impart a little bit of my vision. So basically in this image you can see 5 quite handsome looking men, and then kind of under that it's a couple of cats kissing and medical imagery and things like this. And the thing that's really interesting to me about this project is that this is one large image. Like I said, I developed it as a large-scale kind of projection or screen-based thing. I did experiment a little bit with printing it out, but I found that the surface of it didn't make sense unless it was projected or on a screen. Yeah.
Is there another one? No, that's the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll clap because we can't really hear each other. Okay. Oh, there's another one. Is that the third one?
That's the third one, yeah.
Yeah.
In between, we'll unmute it.
Okay. Next up, that's not Jackson. That's still Chris. Am I going the right way? Nope.
Nope.
Wrong way. That's there we are. Great.
Ryan, I think it would be worth for you to cover the technology that you're using at some point in the presentation. That'd be very interesting.
Sure.
All right. All right. My name's Jackson Duxbury, and I worked on this project that I called Adjectives. I was looking a lot more about the sort of areas of failure or different assumptions that I had made about AI. So I was engaging specifically with ChatGPT. And I was looking at data collection and juxtaposing different ideas of psychiatric patients whether that's collected from actual online available mental health resources versus these ideas we have of the like weird simulacra of this like depressed person that we see a lot in TV shows and popular media. So what I was doing, I collected a ton of info from both these resources in big PDFs and gave those to ChatGPT and basically asked for summaries, and over a process of steps, I got ChatGPT to basically make me these hypothetical patients or hypothetical patient files of patients based either on these more medical resources or based only on these media resources using only the information that I gave it. So you see here, these are some of the patients that in the two categories that I made. So I generated 5 patients for each. And basically, yeah, I got ChatGPT to make not super long descriptions, maybe like a couple hundred words, and then things like symptoms or presentation, jobs. I think I asked for age, gender of these patients based only on that either media or medical resource data I was providing. And then you can see here, it's sort of dark, you can't really see here, but I sort of display these into versions of office setups, like psychiatric office setups, in these looping videos showing. I also input the descriptions of the patients I had into Midjourney afterwards to make these visualize the patients. It did not follow at all what I gave it, which is pretty much what I expected. But for the project as a whole, I was really looking at issues around data collection and the reductive aspects that we can have in these generation processes when we're already basing like our own descriptions of ourselves off of these reductions and then feeding inherited biases into the generative AI. So that's just a sort of continuing process. So really I was looking at how much difference I was going to find, where that was going to fail. I mostly found that a lot of the descriptions I had on the media side were very story-based, because a lot of what I gave it was more like plot summaries or wikis of characters, whereas the other resources I got, which was just pretty much any like easily available like database of what to do if you have depression, fill in those sort of blanks. That one was a lot more clinical, less person-y, like it's very much only diagnoses, and just looking at sort of the different areas where like we can tell that's not really how people are, but that's also what we're giving it, and all these areas where it breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Great, thank you. All right, and last but not least, just a technical note. We're using like I'm using a keying on my slides to make everybody fit in, or to make us fit into the slides. But I forgot that then also takes any of the green out of the slides. So there's whole sections of these that are green that are not there, like this playing board. Let's see, am I going the right way? Yes, we are. Pan across the room. Keep going, keep going. Oh, there, we're almost there. I'm pointing the remote at the wrong thing.
You have to zoom out a little. Yeah, perfect. You guys
Remote.
look great.
Boink, 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 boink. There we are.
Hello.
Hello.
For inviting us. I'm Mia.
And I'm Madeleine.
And yeah, it's our first collaborative project. We wanted to be friends and do work together. And so, yeah, we wanted to make something fun. And what's fun, Madeleine?
Board games.
Board games. So we made a board game inspired by aliens. And of course, we had to use AI. So we used ChatGPT and Midjourney to generate all of our images, little symbols, and of course the cards that you see here, the little playing cards.
Me and Mia are very tactile people. We like creating art with our hands. And I think for this, we were a little kind of interested in seeing how we could make AI work in like a non-virtual space. I think the example that we used when we were coming up with it was almost like a choose your own adventure book, like how that kind of has its own intelligence in a weird way. So while you're playing the game, there isn't really a set path, the same way that like the game of life has, where you follow the lines. There's like an infinite amount of scenarios that could happen, even though we did not create an infinite amount of pieces, it still works, right? So it's almost like it has an artificial intelligent mind of its own, even though it does not exist in a virtual capacity in any way.
Exactly. And again, same thing with the game of life, which was, we wanted kind of do the opposite. So there's absolutely no numbers, and you can't win and you can't lose in our game. You just have to have a good time, do those little challenges, and there's different challenges. Some of them are more tactile, as you said,
like
more like
use clay.
Yeah, grounded in real life. But there's also mid-journey challenges where you have to you have a little card, and then you have to prompt in the computer, and it's like a
challenge with the AI. So with Midjourney, you have to know the right words to say to get the image that you want. And so the challenge is like, without these certain words, can you get this image to appear? And so then that would be like a win if you could get something to appear, just knowing the right words to say and stuff around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
And aliens, we really had fun with the aesthetic part of it all, finding how to use those tools, how to use the AI to get the aesthetic we wanted. And so I think we mostly use AI as a tool to provoke chance, but also
thought.
Thought. And
yeah, I think here this is a great example of the. I think it's. The three projects together show like a real variety, but this seeing the aliens here again reminding me that like it was like there was an element of craft here, like figuring out how to well craft an image, like to actually build an aesthetic that had a holistic, like feels like it's all part of the same game universe. But allowed them, it wasn't about building these cards, that's not what the game was about. So the AI in this case gave them the ability to produce more without having the same kind of resources of having to like spend all the time and on the illustration aspect and focus on the game and the development of this aspect. So
thank you so much, Ryan.
Well said, Ryan.
Good job. Great. Thank you.
Rob, do you want to transition us to the MTU panelists?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, panelists. That was fascinating. Each of your projects is incredible. It's so inspiring and cool. And I love your the different uses of AI and technology and ideas from computer science, but also none of your projects depend entirely on technology. It's really, really cool. We will now transition to panelists who were MTU students who submitted to the Art in Silico art show, and so who is our moderator for this? Is it me? Oh yes, great. Okay. Do we have a, can I list that? Can I just introduce them off of the screen?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Great. It's okay. Thank you. So we're going to start by, I'd like to introduce, Yogendra Kanchapu and, to talk about your project, please.
Yeah, sure. Hello all, I'm Yogendra. You can call me Yogi. That is a little bit easy for you to pronounce. So, I do have expertise in pharmacy. I'm a pharmacist by practice. So after that, I got into EHR field, and that's where I thought I had passion into the informatics as well. So currently, I'm a last semester master student in health informatics at Michigan Tech. So I thought it would be good if I can create something leveraging both my health field and the informatics niche. So I created this tuberculosis detection app. I think I can share my screen if I'm not wrong.
Make it so that he can share screen.
Yeah.
Oh, you can, okay, thank you.
Just, I think still I need to get an access. Host disable participant screen sharing. James, I think under the permissions, you should enable participants or panelists sharing screen. I think it is still, yeah, got it. Thank you. So this is the app that I've created. So initially we were working on this convolution neural networks in the university. In my first and second semesters, I learned Python and little bit about the modeling. So I created this model where we can detect the tuberculosis using X-ray images. So that was my project in second semester. So slowly in the end of the semester, I used AI to help me deploy this app. Because being a pharmacist, I don't have knowledge how to deploy this or know anything regarding apps. I just know how to create a model. So I took help of ChatGPT to give me a code where I can deploy this particular app. So I saved this particular model on the GitHub, and I have deployed it on the Streamlit, which is a free platform where you can also deploy your models. So typically what we can do is we can just click on browse files, and so for example, I'm just using an image out of them. So it would be showing the prediction of this particular image, depending whether it is having tuberculosis or not. So currently it is showing tuberculosis is detected. So I trained my model on set of images, which is having both normal and also this tuberculosis images. So that's how I created my model. And yeah, that is it about me in brief. And I'm looking forward to your questions and answering. Thank you.
Thank you, Yogi.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you very much. And next we introduce Tagore Kosireddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
So this goes back to my professor. Like I'm a grad student doing data science. I'm working as a graduate research assistant with Evan, who is currently watching this video. So we work on large language models. So one day Evan showed me this poster of art in Silico. Like he said, like you can participate if you want. It's gonna be fun. He's like, I don't know what's in art in Silico. I have never done this kind of stuff, if I'm being honest. So it's like you can try some large language models. We already, I mean, at the time we are testing so many models that are in the model hub. So it's like you can do something fun with the models. So this got me like before in like an undergrad, and still I write like writing love letters. So I did write so many in my undergrad for my friends and other for my girlfriends also. So so I thought maybe like see how the large language models will write poetry if I ask them with just a prompt, like take some like not very good models and like very base models and see how they will give the answer if I ask like a prompt. And if take some very good models that are in the model hubs and just ask it like generate something and how they will do. And I just want to see how the poetry will be done by the models, whether it can create some whether it can create something on its own, or like just it will just copy the from something else from the internet. So that is the basic idea that we got from the that I got from that I got to do this project. So I will be sharing my screen to show how it is. I think you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Okay. So this I named it as Poetry LLM, just like other. So the prompt that I asked is take inspiration from the William Shakespeare and write a poem about the life of an international student, like a grad student doing his master's at Michigan Technological University. That is the prompt that I have that I use it for every model. So and I tried so many like 4 models, but I only presented it like 4 or 5 here. But the first model that I tried is GPT-2 based model with the default decoding generation parameters. So the decoding generation parameters are like the parameters that are used to generate the tokens, like probability distribution, what word has to be generated. So GPT-2 base model is is not very good model, but I just like how it will generate, like if you ask something like this. So you can see it says that the first thing that I did was write a poem about my life in the world of Michigan Technological. I was a grad student in Department of Computer Science at the University of California, Berkeley. I was studying computer science, and it started repeating everything, and it is not very good. Like you can see in this example, it is not doing a very good job, the base model. So if like after I changed some of the decoding generation parameters, this is what I got like for the base model. Um, as you can imagine, the school has been huge in terms of their staff who has always been made their names in the world of technology. It's great to see their enthusiasm for learning, and it is not like the poem or poetry, but the sentences does make sense when it compared to the first one. It is not great, but it is still doing a better job. Okay. Llama is designed by Facebook Meta. So it is we use it here 7 billion parameters model, and the output is see here you can see like international grad student far from home in Michigan snow landscape, all alone with streams of knowledge and full of heart cheer. And this is good. Like it's a doing good job because if you the reason it is doing good job, it has been trained on large like so much data, and it can understand what we are asking. And if I try to change like some parameters in it, it is like it can also do a really good job. And there is another like open source model, like very very I think Mistral is one of the good models that I have used. It's Mistral 7. It is also have it is 7 billion parameters model. So if you can see, once upon a Midwestern morn in the heart of Michigan's domain, a scholar from Ever was born in lands where sunset was plain in terrain. So it's really good. Like if you say, okay, sounds good, like someone has written, but deep down, like when you look at the William Shakespeare's poem, it is actually the same, but some words are like just being manipulated. Uh, I really want like look at like how the creativity like can be changed with using this large language, whether it is able to generate on its own or is just like replicating some of the stuff from the internet. That's what I've been trying to do, and I think it's just a fun project. Uh, yeah, I would like to thank you, Evan, for that. He says like just do something fun, it's fine, and I tried it. Yes, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tagore. That was fascinating, and I really enjoyed your explanation of it. That's really nice. It's so. Did you write all of the code yourself for the improving model, or did you write code? So those llama models are your models?
Yeah. So the llama models are developed by Facebook. They are in like their GitHub repository, but you do need access to access them. So I applied my college with the MTU email ID to like for the research purpose. All these models we have, me and Evan are like we have been doing this research from the January, and we have our model access to these models. But you just download the model on your on our system. We have models on our system, but apart from that, everything is done by honors. Like there is code examples on Hugging Face, or like the code examples are given by Meta or somewhere in the internet. You just have to learn about this stuff and do some code stuff. You can use ChatGPT. The problem when we are using ChatGPT for coding or something is you will get the code, you will get the answers majorly 50% of the time, I guess. But if something is not working, it will take a lot of time to debug because you have not written code, so you don't know like where is the problem is occurring. So this is the reason that I'm saying is the first time I used it because I large language models, you need to know how GPUs like how work and how can you utilize them more. So I didn't know. I was not like expert in that, and I'm trying random stuff on the internet, and Evan is helping me. And I was like, I have faced so much time like troubling learning those because I use the ChatGPT to send the model to the GPU and generate the output from the GPU. So I couldn't like understand what is actually happening there. But I use the ChatGPT. It helped some time to understand, but I face a lot of trouble like in debugging. So, like how can I like send all the questions at the same time and get the answers and like utilizing most of the GPU. So, but the thing I'm trying to say is you can get the code, but if you write it on your own, it will be like more useful because debugging will become easy. But sometimes if you know the process is just you need to know how to ask the prompt engineering. We have done this a lot of prompt engineering. Just if you know how to like just know if you want to make something like uh, build a layered architecture or something, the architecture of the model, just then you can ask it like, okay, this is the architecture, this is the input layer, and this is the how many hidden layers I want, this is the output layers, and how many neurons you want, and everything about the architecture, you just put in the words, and it will give the code you can understand. That saves a lot of time.
That's really fascinating. Thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a math professor here. I would love to talk to you sometime about this. Okay, let's meet up on campus. Hey, I'd love to hear more about your work. It's really fascinating. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes the presentations from our student participants for this. And I would like to, before we open the floor up for some questions from the audience and any comments that the participants like to make, I would like to first open the floor up to Chantal Rodier to see if you have any comments to add on to this. You're one of the organizers of this entire project, as well as the plenary speaker for our conference.
Well, thank you.
Please take the floor.
And thank you very much for all the participants. It's always amazing the challenges we give students for these kind of exercises, let's say, with the same tools to see the variety of outputs that people can come up with using their own creativity, their own pulse for exploration. So it's fascinating. So that's what strikes me in this. And I want to thank the Ottawa U folks that I visited back in December.
Cool.
In Ryan's class, and that you've accepted to participate in this. This is very exciting. And I guess I want to maybe return the question to the participants as to what's their takeaway from this exercise. So maybe start with the order that you presented, and what's your takeaway in terms of using AI to explore in this case, but also how do you see it affecting your practices in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually, you can harken back. There's an exercise that we did in the class that was, how do you see, basically they had to write a paragraph of how you saw it affecting your practice in 5 years or 10 years out. They've already got some warm up. They probably don't remember what they said at that point. That side of things. It's a while ago.
No, I think it's fascinating. I've definitely used DALL-E since. I know there's some changes going on with DALL-E right now as far as how long you can continue creating images with them, but I'm working on some landscapes right now that are kind of false group of 7 AI generated images. So I think it's really interesting, and like I said, I really love DALL-E because it's the easiest one to impart your own aesthetic into. So I'll definitely see myself using that tool for as long as they'll let me.
I love it too. It's an awesome tool. I love DALL-E.
I would say it's really interesting to see all the different approaches we're coming from as artists, and then you guys as more tech-based artists. I think it really speaks to all these different approaches, speaks to the importance of including artists in these conversations about tech projects and vice versa, because I would not have thought of an app as art, but now that I'm thinking about it, why not? And yeah, just all the, even within our group, all the different approaches we have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
And I did not use AI after this project.
She should make a set of paper, that's why.
Yes.
It's really, you can't think of a more opposite project, really.
Yes, really.
It's a final project.
No, this class was really confronting to me because I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but I did. And I think if I had, a project similar where I'm kind of stuck and I need to provoke something that's exterior to me, then yes, I would use AI.
That's exactly what I use it for, and what I still use it for is just arranging data, which is what it is exactly. But I think as a tool, it's so good at cutting through all the stuff that you don't really need to pay attention to. And even just being, I use it to find inspiration. I use it to be what artists do work on this kind of thing, and it knows all of them. And so I think, you're able to be exposed to a whole new set of things that you otherwise wouldn't be, or it would take so much research that it would be almost impossible, or you might not even find that similar end.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. There's something that I think, is it Tagore? Where you said at the end, it's an extension of a conversation Chantal and I have been having about just how in some ways there's really different approaches to making within art, within science, within technology, engineering, all of these different practices. At the same time as one of the things that everybody, I think, is wrestling with is an echo of what you said, which is, for them, you might almost find it invisible when they're saying these things, but they have a similar narrative. You don't just get an output that then becomes an artwork. There's it's this constant iterative thing, and you're really at these different parts of the process. So the same way you were talking about, well, if you just ask it to spit out a whole body of code, you're not gonna really know how it happened, and there's just gonna be a kind of a whack of problems. So it's the way it's helping at these broken down, more minute places, I think is actually quite common across the practices. And it does point to that need for more transparency and more malleability in the models, and how, because there's an assumption that we're gonna want things that will just output stuff for us. But what we really want, any makers want, is something that is able to have real back and forth about all the micro decisions you make in any making process. And there are so many. There are thousands and thousands of decisions whether it's happening at the studio or in the desktop, it's like constantly trying to tune in all of this intelligence, and you need more back and forth between the models to make it really, really, truly safe.
And I'll ask the same question to the two students from MTU. What do you take out of it, and how do you see what your experience of this particular exercise affecting your future practices?
So my key takeaway is being a pharmacist, I always wondered whether AI would replace a pharmacist, but recently I had talk with a couple of people who are in industry. They suggested that all of the information is HIPAA protected and there are like a lot of privacy laws we need to comply with. So no AI or anything else can replace a pharmacist, but everything is just to assist our way, and there are some bottlenecks in the industry which we can use AI to automate them and maybe reduce little bit of workforce, but not totally to replace. So yeah, iterating the model is what I always do. And yeah, I agree upon that with Tagore. So yeah, I've been there, and initially I thought of preparing a resume LLM for MTU students where they can like add their resume in the model so that it would say what is rating and what sort of changes they need to do. But there is a bottleneck with me to deploy that model. So I haven't submitted for Art in Silico, but I'm working on that. Yeah, thank you.
Very valid question.
So my key takeaway is first, I love the how you guys are taking the AI and whatever you call for the inspiration and making use of it. So the reason that is there are two types of people. One that is afraid of AI, one they are using it. I love when people use it for their like advantage and things. I see so many LinkedIn posts. People are like, "Oh, the AI is not good. Someday it's gonna take over or something." But there are there are many other like so many people I saw that they are using it their for own advantage, their productivity. And there is like I saw a recent like on someone like from Meta, they said like their productivity is increased by 5.5 times by using ChatGPT like for the code, because they're already senior developers and they know how to do it, and just a little bit of prompt engineering they can get their work done. So using AI for the greater good and like for the productivity, like to get the things done fast, and using your creativity is less. It's just like industry cycle when the cars are being made, like the jobs are gone, but they produced more jobs. I think that this if you take AI and put it into right ways, like with the laws and everything, there's that is called as constitutional AI. So if you apply that and make use of it, I think it will produce more jobs, and it will be the for better good. And like in terms of thinking the other things like finding the problems for like cancer or something, maybe I don't know, but someday if we do apply it in the right way, it will be useful for humans. And I don't think so, but yeah, it is a very tough question, and people in the industry are so much
If
talking
the
about
state
like.
applies legislation is a big if. That's a really big, if it gets applied in the right way, that's like that's a big, I want to put myself on the record as a third person who is both terrified and use it. Like delight, terrifying, and fun and useful, all like sometimes simultaneously. So
There are so many times I've used ChatGPT and I'm still afraid because I use like so many models, and every day that is my research, and like try new models, how they are doing. Like every open source model that is released, I instantly apply for the access, and I try to ask them like do how it is. And there are so many times that I'm afraid because there is sensitivity. If you don't, does anybody know that ChatGPT? If you there is an option called delete conversation. What do you think? Like if you press that option, do you think that the conversation that you had with ChatGPT is deleted? Is it how many guys do you think it is deleted?
oh, no, I assume that all my data is somewhere.
Of course.
So whatever you put in the data, it will be never deleted in ChatGPT. It is constantly says the system until forever. And there is one thing I have that is more like one recently. So me and my other teammates are doing one project. Consider this an example. One project. So he got the solution, I didn't get the solution, but he has a bug in his code, and I didn't have any solution on my code. If he puts his code in the ChatGPT and like exact everything, and the ChatGPT can understand everything and got it. If I ask my question, even if I didn't give the solution, before putting the code, it will not give the solution to me. But once my friend has like give the code to the system, immediately I will get the solution. I have tested this so many times, and it happened like with my we are trying things out, like how we will get this information, how it is doing, because at some point of time it can't give the answer, but after giving the solution, even it is not the connected, but the other person is getting the answer. So it's a little bit concerning. There are so many things, but using AI for good, and you guys are doing good job for taking like this, all those inspirations and making things. I love it when people like take the advantage and do many cool things. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Those very, very interesting comments. I wonder if our audience members have any questions. We have about almost about 5 to 10 more minutes, and we could take a few questions for our participants. If anyone in the audience has one, you could either raise your hand electronically or put something into the chat, or you could just turn on your microphone and start to blurt it out and do it before the next person does. Whatever works for you.
It may not allow you to speak out, but yeah, you can use the Q&A feature on the bottom if that's okay.
And
Oh,
also,
sorry.
I guess if the participants have questions for other
Oh,
participants.
and if participants have questions for other participants also, please, take this opportunity to ask those.
So I have one question. So when the meeting started, like you guys used you said that you couldn't get a model to generate a guy kissing guy. Is it true? Like you guys didn't get it at the final, or you got it? You guys didn't get it.
Got it, right?
Sorry.
Did you get pirates?
No, never. Yeah,
Got pretty close.
pretty close.
But it was creepy.
But never. Yeah, it was never as easy as like. And I think, in fact, in a couple of them, it changed them to be sort of more female.
Females, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
it was like
heterosexual.
it got the red hair part and everything, but it's just a vaguely masculine woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they would merge together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Their faces would just become one face.
This is live. I would like to try it, and if I can generate one, because I don't know, like you guys did so many prompts, or like the way you ask the model, and you can trick the model actually so many times. There are so many papers based on how can you trick the model to getting in what you want. So well, I don't know, but I would like to like take the problem and like try to generate. If I can generate, I will. I would sure that would be fun.
It was, I think that they were, I was trying to remember which system they used, because a bunch of us, we signed up for like a runway, like a unlimited account, and then we shared it among the whole class so that everybody could just pound it. But I think he might have been using another sort of free version for a while. I can't really remember. We were just, everyone was sort of all over the place, and there's so many. And most of them are, there's only a few of them that are actually really good, but definitely, I think they were definitely on runway and had definitely a lot of challenges. So, and they were trying, I don't know how, like, I wanted to see the prompts, but there were definitely stuff where they were like trying to speak indirectly, and they couldn't, like, no matter what kind of version they said, it never got there. And I think a kiss is it's a very distinct thing. It's not like, it's not ambiguous like two people walking along a park holding hands or something, like something that you could project onto other things. It's a very, very distinct act, a human act that has like, so I think that's why it became such a hard thing to overcome.
Or it would be really valuable if you could figure out a way to get these models to generate an image of two men kissing. This is a beautiful image that people would like to see, and that there's some obstruction to being able to produce it. I think it would be a very, very valuable thing. And if you can't trick the AI to do it, it could just be that there's just not enough images in the data set, and maybe trying to figure out a way to fix that as a programmer could be something that would be a very, very valuable thing to the world community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I will try. I will definitely give it a try. If I can generate, I will send everyone that I generated.
It's a single problem that would make a very big difference to be able to fix.
I mean, I think it points to a larger, just like, it was so fascinating because it points to the larger issue of like, well, okay, well, what else is difficult? What else is it that we like? We know, I mean, we know from Midjourney and a bunch of the other ones, like the safety rails that are being put on to try and make it acceptable, to try and, are a way of avoiding having really, you know, challenging conversations about what can be represented and how you do it and all of these things. And so I think it's certainly just one in a whole array of things that, you know, one Silicon Valley version of politics that is that allows certain kinds of things and doesn't allow others. And
Yes, we have a question.
Yes, we have a question.
Thank you very much, both of you.
We have a question. Yes, thank y'all. We have a question in the chat. Are there certain colors that are more difficult to use than others?
Otherwise.
Oh, could you hear that? So we have a question in the chat. Oh, yeah.
Like that we found biases towards, or we couldn't produce, or?
Yes, I think that sounds like a good interpretation.
Yeah.
Well, when we were generating digital character aliens, it was difficult to have the AI explore a larger palette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually if
You put like psychedelic or something.
yeah,
it'll
then
just
it
stay in the
will
same.
all get red, and then you'll have to prompt it differently if you wanted green ones, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would stick to a restrictive palette
Yeah.
and then only use 2-3 colors and never explore the rest of it. So yeah.
You see it more like a gravity almost. Like it wasn't so much that it wasn't good at something. It would just be it's kind of drawn into something almost like a vacuum.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
This is not about colors at all. But I did want to point to something that came up in Jackson's project, which I still think is one of the more fascinating things, which was early on in the project. You have to correct me, but at one point you were putting in prompts. I think it was to Midjourney about medical things, and all of the images came out as Office-like cartoons.
Oh yeah, we had like originally the like 1 week bits where I was just first getting the first ideas, and so I was putting in just I think it was super like longer descriptions of patients without telling it what to do with it, just giving them the description, and they all turned into completely non-Midjourney aesthetic, like Office cartoons, which is like Midjourney has that very specific look.
It's like Dilbert,
Fantasy.
yeah, like stuff that you would see on a cubicle wall, like Dilbert, Kathy. I don't know if any of these cultural references mean anything.
And I said nothing about the cartoons. I literally gave them like a description of a person.
It was one of the most weirdest, it was fascinating aberration in the thing. So like, it was like WebMD descriptions of a medical, and then it would pop out these Office cartoons, like just like late 90s, early 2000s newspaper cartoons.
So weird.
Yeah, really weird.
It looks like we might have another question.
That was just the clarification on the first one.
Okay, thank you all very much. Do any of you have any questions for each other? Any further questions? I have a question if nobody else has one, but I'm interested to hear from all of you.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I was interested in, I think it's, is it Maddie and Mia? Is that the two authors of the game?
Yes.
So is your game, what is the format in which it comes? For instance, is it a PDF file? Is it an online thing where you download the cards? Do you print out the cards yourself? How would you distribute the game to your friends and to other people? What's the format for the actual, like the rule book and these kinds of things?
So there's one exemplar. Yeah, it comes in a box. And it's real little tiles that we all printed. All the cards are it's really, really tactile, and fragile, actually.
Yeah, so Mia actually paper mache'd each of the boards, and I am a printer technician, and so I'm really into printing stuff, and I like especially printed out each of these little tiles and stuff. So it's interesting to think about like making a PDF version because we did not consider that. We just immediately went to like.
Well, do you see it as a prototype, or do you see it like, do you like the idea that it is a singular object, like almost like an art object, that the only way to play this game is to actually be in the room with this exclusive?
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but it's so interesting. Like you could just put it on a PDF and have people print it out. Like that's
Yes, and you could have 3D models of your pieces. You could just 3D model them and make a printable thing, and and it would be a totally doable thing that probably other people would enjoy.
That's awesome.
But that's cool. It's a board game, though. It's a physical board game with pieces and with cards and with it's not something that it's not necessarily it's not a digital thing. It's an analog thing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It sounds like a really beautiful game, and I love the way that you described it and the description of the rule.
Thank you so much.
Do any of you have any closing thoughts or comments that you would like to make? It looks like our session is coming to an end. Am I right about that? And I would like to make sure that there's a little room for anybody that's here that would like to say anything else to please have a moment to speak your heart. Does anybody have any further thoughts? Ryan or any of you students? Chantal?
I would like to thank Evan and everyone. I didn't know that this is going to be so much fun because I've never done these kind of things, but it is really fun, like doing all these things and this creativity. Yeah, I would like to say thank you for everyone. Yeah, for presenting your work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I personally am a huge fan of AI art and AI media. I'm an artist, but I'm also a mathematician, and I understand AI to some extent as a mathematician, and I like to, and so I can tweak it and interact with it in ways that I can kind of do on purpose, and it's really, really fun to use. But it's also amazing that our mathematics is speaking back to us in our own language and able to make images for us in our own palette, to me, it's a very, very beautiful development, and to see all of you and your different takes on it and the different ways that you've used AI and technology is really inspiring, because you're among the first. You're in this is like year one of being able to do this kind of art, possibly for the rest of history. You're in the first batch of people that are ever doing this kind of thing. You're using the first programs that have ever been developed to let us do this. You're using the very first language models ever in history that have been able to talk to us. No creature in the universe can speak to humans in our own language, except for these language models that have just emerged right now, this very moment. And you're the first people that are using them as artists. So it's very exciting to me to see this and to see the ways that you're stretching your ideas and that you're incorporating them into your own aesthetics and also into your own philosophies. I really appreciate that, and seeing your like, for instance, the pharmaceutical angle, and hearing about your language model work, hearing about all of your visual artworks was really, really fascinating. And I encourage each of you to take these technologies and push them into the future. You're the first, and that means that you can be the first to be the best.
That's a good way. And I'd like to pick up on some of what I heard also, like from Jackson, hearing that the language model programming and the way that some of the more technical folks on the panel use the tools opens up your comprehension and your vision of what art can be. So I think that I'm speaking, yes. I'm totally biased, but I'll admit that that's the reason why I think like people from different disciplines should sit down and talk and work together more, because I think it happens at all sorts of levels when that happens. And I think we heard it also from the expert in the model, the large language model, yes. That knowing what kind of problems the artists have encountered can open up also the programming side of it. So this is lovely to see it in such a small representation, a small discussion of people coming together. So you can imagine when you do long-term projects, how successful that can be. So makes me very happy.
Me happy. It makes me happy too.
So thank you very much, everyone, for accepting our invitation to participate. You did wonderful. And I think it just makes me want to do this more and more often. So
thanks for having us. It was really great to get to showcase some of their great work.
Thank you all very much. I encourage you all to stay in touch with each other as you go on in life. And also you MTU students to get in touch with these Ottawa students because like I said, you're in the first batch of people that have this interest. And you're the first wave of people that will make a difference.